For years, one of Goya's paintings has been the center of debates, interpretations, and countless theories. It is part of the famous Black paintings. This unsettling series, which we've already discussed on this channel, was painted directly onto the walls of Goya's home. Among these works is one that, at first glance, seems simple, yet many consider it to be the most mysterious piece created by this artist. We're talking about the painting known as The Dog. Well, actually calling it that might be a mistake. Although it's also referred to as the drowned dog or the sinking dog, Goya never named these works. None of the Black paintings have official titles. Even iconic pieces like Saturn devouring his son were named posthumously. So, when we refer to the dog, we're really using a nickname that history has given it. But what makes this painting so mysterious? At first glance, it doesn't seem like much. A dog poking its head out in a barren, earthy background, as if it's sinking into quicksand. But its gaze changes everything. This dog isn't looking aimlessly, its attention is directed upward, as if observing something we cannot see. What is this dog looking at? Here's where things get interesting. For years, there was no clear answer. Some said it was staring at nothing, representing solitude or existential emptiness. Others theorized it was a metaphor for Spain's decline, or even an emotional self-portrait of Goya in his final days. But the reality is quite different. Thanks to a photograph taken in 1873, when the Black paintings were still on the original walls of the Quinta del Sordo, it was discovered that there's more to this painting. Yes, the dog was looking at something, but now we can't see it. Why did this happen? Why can't we see what this mysterious dog once saw? To answer that, we need to go back to the 19th century. These paintings were never meant to hang in a museum or be seen by the public. Goya painted them directly onto the walls of his house, the famous Quinta del Sordo, or Deaf Man's Villa. While the name might seem to refer to Goya's deafness, the truth is that the house received this title because of a previous owner who was also deaf. The Black paintings remained hidden, trapped in the walls of this house, for decades after Goya's death. It wasn't until the late 19th century that they were rediscovered by their new owner, Émile d'Erlanger. Fascinated by these works, he commissioned Salvador Martinez Cubells, a painter and restorer, to carefully remove them from the walls and transfer them to canvas. However, here's the twist. During the transfer process, the paintings underwent significant alterations. What we see today might not fully reflect Goya's original intent, and that is where the mystery deepens. The technique Goya used to create these paintings is known as al secco. This means he painted directly onto the plaster walls without any prior preparation to protect the paint. The result is that these works, while striking and overwhelmingly dark, were never intended to last. But why did Goya choose this technique? Some believe it was due to the personal and private nature of these paintings. Since they were meant solely to decorate his home, he likely didn't consider their long-term preservation. This explains why extracting these works became so challenging decades later. Salvador Martinez Cubells used the strappo technique to transfer the Black paintings onto canvases, a method that allowed the paintings to be separated from the walls without completely destroying them. The strappo process begins with cleaning the surface to remove dust. Then, a cotton fabric coated with a water-soluble adhesive is applied to the painting. Once dry, this fabric allows the pictorial layer to be carefully removed, peeling it off little by little. Afterward, the remaining plaster on the back of the painting is removed, and it is affixed to a new canvas using a stronger adhesive. Finally, the initial fabric is removed, and the restoration process begins. This method allowed the Black paintings to be saved, but not without consequences. If we analyze the painting as it is preserved today in the Museo del Prado, there really aren't many elements to dissect. What we see is a dog poking its head over what appears to be a hill or an earthy slope. The background, mostly empty, lacks significant details, creating a profound sense of solitude and isolation. The dog is looking upward with an expression that's hard to interpret, as if it's focused on something beyond our reach. In its current state, we could say the dog seems to be staring at nothing. There are no objects or figures to suggest what it might be observing. This has led many critics and viewers to interpret the painting as a representation of loneliness, uncertainty, or even the insignificance of life when confronted with vast emptiness. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, thanks to a photograph taken before the black paintings were removed from the walls, we know the dog wasn't originally looking into a void. In the original work, there was something more. Two small figures, seemingly birds, floated in the sky, capturing the dog's attention. Currently, there is a consensus among experts that this dog is directing its attention toward those birds. The photograph reveals this detail, and I understand why it is given so much importance, but my opinion takes a slightly different direction. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who notices this, but on the left side of the painting, I see what looks like the shadow of a human figure. It's a gigantic shadow, one that seems to cover a large part of the painting. In my opinion, it's an unfinished figure. There's something peculiar about the shadow. It gives the impression that this figure has its arms raised and perhaps is wearing a skirt. It could be a friar. What strikes me as most curious is that even with this photograph revealing the birds, the focus remains solely on these small creatures. I'm not saying they aren't important. Clearly, Goya included them for a reason, but personally, it's hard for me to believe that in a house filled with such disturbing and unsettling paintings, we would find a work reduced to just a dog watching birds in the sky. I think this painting goes far beyond that. To me, there is a figure we'll never see, something that remained in Goya's imagination. An incomplete mystery, perhaps similar to what we discussed a few months ago on the channel when we analyzed ghostly vision. What do you think? Do you believe the birds are revealing enough to give this painting its definitive meaning? Or do you agree with me that there's something more, something we can't quite see? I hope I'm not the only one seeing this unfinished figure. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you're a true art lover, I invite you to explore our catalogue, where you'll find this painting and many other carefully selected works for you to collect. By shopping in our store, you'll be supporting me to create videos like this one, and at the same time, you'll receive a piece of art that will last a lifetime. Shipping is free worldwide, and you can also find phone cases to protect your device while carrying a masterpiece with you wherever you go. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next video.